Our presenter for the 12:20 time slot is Nathan Osborne. He is from Central Florida and will be sharing with us his capstone project, Kenya Hope, Men's Soft Goods. Please join us in welcoming him.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathan Osborne, and today I'm going to present to you my senior capstone that I've been working on the past few weeks. So the type of project that I wanted to do is a humanitarian project. I just wasn't sure at first what exactly type of humanitarian project that I wanted to do. So the first thing I did was ask my fiance's grandparents, who are actually missionaries and they go all over the world. And so I thought they might have some good insight on this. And so here's a picture of my fiance's grandparents on the far right, and then me obviously in the top left, and my fiance on the bottom left there. And so after asking her grandma what type of humanitarian project she think would be a good one for my project, she recommended that I get in touch with an organization called Kenya Hope. And she said, well, I actually happen to know the founders and they live right down the street from us. And so over winter break, a couple days later, she actually set up a lunch with us, and we were able to, I was able to sit down with them and talk with Dave and Joy Mueller, which are seen here in this photo, the founders of Kenya Hope. And I talked to them about a potential capstone project in partnership with them. And after talking and seeing some of their needs, we were able to come up with a capstone project for me. And so first I want to talk about what Kenya Hope is exactly. Their need for a new line of products. Who cares about this type of project? And then other companies' solutions to this type of project, and then my proposed solution to this. And so first I want to talk about what Kenya Hope is and who exactly they are. Kenya Hope is a nonprofit mission organization based in Kenya, and their mission is to spread the gospel throughout Kenya by meeting people's physical and then monetary needs as well. Some of their mission outreaches include helping orphans over in Kenya, well drilling, which they'll go to remote communities in Kenya and to go to remote they'll go to remote places in Kenya and drill wells for people that don't have access to clean water. And then finally, they help widows over in Kenya. Kenya is a polygamous culture, for those of you who don't know. So a man will typically marry several women over the course of his lifetime, marrying younger and younger each time. And then finally, whenever he dies, all of his wives are basically left with nothing, and even all of the man's possessions will be repossessed by his family, and they're left essentially homeless with nothing but the clothes on their backs. And so their mission to widows in Kenya is to teach them life skills that they'll be able to provide for themselves, and if they have any kids, provide for their kids as well. And so this is the one that I wanted to focus on for my capstone. One of the ways they help teach widows to provide for themselves is by teaching them how to make bread and making bread for their families, as well as selling bread and making money that way. And then the specific one I was going to focus on for this capstone is they teach women how to sew several different bag designs that they have, and then they sell them in the US and then give the widows all of the money. And so they have several different bag designs currently, and they're typically more geared toward women, and they include a tote bag, a money or clutch bag, and then a snap money bag, little coin purse. And there's nothing really geared specifically toward men, and I wanted to help diversify their products and hopefully grow their the income and outreach they have. And they also need a new line of products because I think those would help create more jobs for the local vendors, as everything that they make is locally sourced by local vendors, and this would create more jobs for them. And then of course, it would create more jobs for the manufacturers, which are the widows. So who cares about this type of project? Kenya Hope obviously cares about this type of project because it will. But first off, consumers care about this type of project. People want to support causes. In fact, there's a study that says 71% of millennials would buy one product over another product if the product supports a cause that they can get behind. And I believe that anybody would get behind supporting widows. Second is Kenya Hope. Kenya Hope obviously cares. This is helping. This would help grow their outreach and then also help support more widows in the area. And then the middlemen would care because more money would be flowing through the vendors and help stimulating the local economy there in Kenya. So my proposed solution to the issue is to design products that will sell, soft good products specifically that will sell. And the first thing I did was create a survey and send it out to people to take, just so I know what would sell the best, so that it could have the biggest impact. And so here are the survey results. I had 42 people respond, and they basically had to rank their favorite to least favorite items, and you can see the items there on the bottom. And then on the far right, backpack had 15 people responded saying that is their first choice, and then 11 first choice for the wallet, and then dot pad was 5. And then second choice you can see there was 8, 9, or 8, 10, and then 9. And I didn't want to tackle too many projects, so I just chose those first 3, the backpack, wallet, and then dop kit. And then for those of you who don't know, a dop kit is essentially a toiletry bag. And so after figuring out what I was going to create, I wanted to make sure I matched, as I was designing it, I wanted to make sure I matched the brand language of Kenya Hope, which would include matching their colors, their materials they already use, and then as well as their design language. And to do that, I looked at Kenya Hope's current products. These are Kenya Hope's tote bags that they currently sell. As you can see, for materials, they're typically made out of leather and canvas. And they have you see on the far left picture, they have typically do a logo patch with their stamp on it. And then on the far right there, you can see that they use rivets where they can, just because this is a lot easier than sewing and a lot faster than sewing. They also have a typical color theme that they like to stick with. They're more earthy tones. They have like a red, a black, and olive green. And then they also have a navy blue and a cream color. And so those are the colors that I wanted to kind of stick with. And then obviously the leather. And then on the bottom left there, you can see on their clutch bags, they try to incorporate a triangle element. And this is something that I picked up on that I thought would be helpful in helping brand their products going forward. And so this is something I wanted to use on all my products. And then the color pop material, which is also on the clutch bag on the inside. This helps reference the Kenyan culture and the colorful materials that they use in traditional clothing and stuff. And so this is something that I also wanted to make sure I used. So the next step I did was create a mood board to help figure out the family that these products would kind of live in. And so here you can see the mood board that I created and just kind of get the overall feel of the aesthetic that I was going for. And then in the middle there, you can see Kenyan men wearing typical traditional African clothing. And so this is something I definitely wanted to keep in mind. The next step was to prototype to understand manufacturing process and the form of the bags what would be possible to make, basically. And I wanted, since these women are not expert sewers, I wanted to make sure everything would be easily manufacturable. And so at the beginning of the year, I actually borrowed one of my classmates' sewing machines and taught myself how to sew. And then later, I actually bought a sewing machine a few weeks ago and made all these products myself just to show that it could be done. So next I went on to paper prototyping, just so I didn't waste fabric and so I could understand the form and where all the stitching would go and stuff like that. So on the far left there, you can kind of just see a DOP kit prototype. And then in the middle, you can see the basic body of what the backpack would look like. And then on the far right, the wallets. Next, I move into fabric prototyping. I know what you're thinking, these look hideous, and it's because I chose the cheapest fabric I could get just to practice sewing and figure out how they would be manufactured. So this is not actually what it looks like in the end. So on the far left there, you can see the DOP kit prototype. I learned how to put a zipper on a bag and sew lining material on the inside. And then on the backpack prototype there on the right, in the middle here, you can see the main body of the backpack and then where a leather flap would go on the top. And then on the right here, you can kind of see it's kind of hidden. There's a pocket down here, and then once again, the flap. The next step I did was collaborate with the Sewing Hive, which is a local company here in Columbus, Ohio. I reached out to them to get some professional advice on how to sew and just techniques that I could use. And they were super helpful and nice. And Gail, the owner of the Sewing Hive, sat down with me and taught me how to create patterns and just gave me tips and tricks and techniques on how to sew things. Sadly, I was only able to meet with them once due to coronavirus, but I definitely used what they taught me moving forward. And then lastly, I want to show you my proposed solutions to the final designs of the DOP kit, the backpack, and the wallet. And so here is the end result of those products. I went with a navy blue canvas and then a leather material combo for those. On the left there, you can see the products closed, and then on the right, they're all open. And I'm going to go through all these and show you each of them individually. For the DOP kit, you can see there on the far left, I chose to use rivets to put the handle on, and this is way easier than sewing, and it took far less time, and it kind of helps tie in with their current brand language. And then on the inside, you can see that ColourPop material that I chose to use to kind of reference traditional African men's clothing. And then on the bottom of that middle picture, you can see the triangle element, where the triangle element shows up for the DOP kit, and that's used as a pull tab to close the bag. And then on the right there, you can see the bag kind of in use with stuff in it, and where the logo patch would go there in the middle. And then for the backpack, on the far left, you can see on both flaps for the pocket as well as the top flap and the straps, they're all kind of triangle shaped, and that is intentional to also reference that triangle shape that we saw on one of their current products. And then on the inside, I chose to use that pop color material once again. And then on the far right, you can see my fiance modeling the backpack from the side. And then moving on to the back of the backpack, for the straps, I chose to use leather, and then I actually put foam inserts on the inside between the leather just for comfort when you're carrying it. And then I chose to use rivets, as you can see in this middle photo, to help tie in more with the branding, and it's easier than sewing the two pieces of leather together. And then there's matching roller buckles that you can use to adjust the straps depending on how big the person is wearing the bag. And then finally for the wallet, you can see on the far left there where that triangle element shows up once again. It's showing the blue canvas material that's used on all the products. And then on the bottom right corner of that picture, you can see where the logo stamp would go. Just stamp in Kenya Hope. And then in the middle and the far right, you can see where cash would go. So you can stick cash here in this little spot where that ColourPop material is. And then there's 4 spots for card holders. And so I really wanted to focus, like I said, on manufacturability of these. So I made sure to make them very simple. As you can see in the photos, they are very simple. So simple that someone like myself, teaching myself how to sew, I was able to make all of these. And I made tech packs for all of these products just to make them a lot easier to manufacture and see all the pieces that are involved. And then also want to note that the zipper on both the drop kit as well as the backpack is the exact same length, so they can purchase zippers in bulk and use them for both. And then moving on to the tech packs, this is a tech pack of the backpack. You can see on the far left there just a materials list, and then it shows you some overall measurements of how big this bag is, as well as the call outs for all the different pieces that were involved. And then you can see here the backpack, or the dot kit with the same thing. The material list is even smaller on this one. And then finally, the tech pack for the wallet. And then products are not really good if you can't sell them. It's kind of pointless. So I wanted to make sure I came up with a good business plan for how they could market and sell their products. And so the current way they sell products is going to local craft shows throughout Michigan and selling them there, as well as word of mouth. And this is a great way to do it, but it really only targets the older audience and typically women. And so I wanted to expand this reach to a younger generation. And so after talking with Joy Mueller, one of the co-founder of Kenya Hope, we came up with the idea of using Etsy as a way to first sell them, and then potentially, if it got bigger, to sell them directly from their website. And so now I just want to show you an Etsy mock-up that I did to show you what that could look like. So here you can just see what their page could look like. Obviously, they would have their other current products on here, but I just wanted to show you the ones that I did for this. And then in conclusion, just to recap what we covered today, I told you about who Kenya Hope was and their mission to spread the gospel throughout Kenya and help widows. And then I showed you how I created these men's soft good products, and I revealed to you these products. And then I talked to you about the manufacturability of these products and how easily they can be made, and then show you the business plan for how they could be sold. And then I just want to cover the impacts that this could have on the widows. Joy Mueller told me when I was interviewing her that the very first time that they started this and they brought the widows back money from selling their bags, they burst out into tears because this is the very first time in their life that they were able to create a living for themselves and not rely on someone else. And so this just has a huge impact on their lives. And then how you can help Kenya Hope right now is if you want to go to their website and check it out, it's kenyahope.org. And you can check out their website and see what missions they do. And if you're interested in one of the current bags they sell, you can contact them through their website if you want to buy one. And then potentially my products might be on there someday. And then I also want to give a special thanks to the Sewing Hive for helping me create patterns, Seth Killian for his leather expertise, and then Kenya Hope for me bombarding them with questions all the time. And so thank you. If you have any questions, you can text Gabe at that number provided there. And thank you so much for watching.
Great job, Nathan. I want to ask, first off, you taught yourself to sew for this project, but it wasn't just sewing that was involved. There was also some leather work. If I'm not mistaken, you also taught yourself leather work over the summer. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I actually took up leather working as a hobby over the summer to do a summer project and use that in this project as well.
So last year you didn't have the skills that you would have needed to complete this project. And since then you've taught yourself everything?
Yes.
That's incredible. We have a couple questions so far. I know some more are going to be rolling in. Has Gail seen the final design?
No, she has not yet.
Okay. What about Kenya Hope?
Yes, I sent them all the products, pictures of all.
Any feedback from them so far?
They're pretty happy with them. um, I'm going to send them this presentation after, and just see what they think of everything. But they seem pretty happy with it so far. So
Good. It was truly insightful to have the zippers the same size so you can order them in stock, order them in bulk. The existing infrastructure already has the fabric and leather, if I'm not mistaken, because they're already using those, and rivets. Are there any other aspects to your designs that they might need to consider purchasing?
I also use some little trying to think of snap buttons. Basically, they look like rivets, but they're snaps, just to open and close, like the pocket and different elements. So that's something they'll have to consider.
Okay. I don't see that being a huge issue, though. The backpack, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it should be as easy as wherever they find rivets, they should be able to find them.
Absolutely. Yeah. The backpack is awesome. Do you have any concerns with durability due to the simplicity of the techniques in the construction? And I want to preface this. I know who asked this question, and they are particularly rough on their backpack. So just know that that is coming from a classmate who's rough on their backpack.
I can guess who it is.
Yeah, I think you can.
So far, it's been good. I've put stuff in it and walked around with it, and everything seems to be holding up pretty well. That's definitely something going forward that I'll have to make sure it holds up durability-wise. But that's the only one I would be concerned with is the backpack. So some stuff might have to change a little bit, but everything seems to be working fine right now. So
yeah, and I think that leather reinforcement on the bottom will go a long way as well. What is the biggest thing that you've learned in this amazing journey?
How to sew, I guess. I never touched a sewing machine before this project, and after, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I could make a lot more stuff now. So
yeah, you've been incredibly self-reliant throughout this project, and I'm very proud of how much you've taught yourself with these additional skills.
Well, thank you.
And what do you think the timeline is for implementation? How soon do you think Kenya Hope might be able to start manufacturing these?
Before manufacturing them, I'd like to come up with some instructions on basically like the step-by-step process of how to make this stuff, because I think it would be really helpful for them. But at the same time, they might have a better way of doing the same exact thing. So I'm going to get in contact with Kenya Hope soon and see if they want to go forward with it.
Yeah. If there were additional products that you would like to look into creating for Kenya Hope, what do you think either you would like to do, or what do you think think they would want?
That's a tough one. There's stuff that I think would be really cool, but based on the survey that I sent out, scored really low. And so like the passport holder, I think would be really cool. And like the tool kit, roll-up tool kit, I thought for a car would be cool, but they scored really low on the thing, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Good. Well, I think that just about does it for questions. If everyone would join me in congratulating Nathan with either the reaction button and or just showing your appreciation for him on the screen. Nathan, great job.
Thank you.